Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on All India Radio. This is Manoj Singh Rana bringing glimpses of major developments of the day from across the globe. The headlines. Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi calls on the G20 leaders to unite and fight against climate change. Donald Trump says he looks forward to working with the G20 in the future. France demands that Pakistan withdraw inflammatory comments against President Emmanuel Macron. Australian military chief says country's forces must own up to reports of war crimes in Afghanistan. And navies of India, Thailand and Singapore conduct trilateral maritime exercise SITMEX. Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, has said that climate change must be fought not in silos, but in an integrated, comprehensive and holistic way. He was addressing the 15th edition of G20 summit convened by Saudi Arabia in a virtual format. Mr. Modi said that India is not only meeting its Paris Agreement's targets, but exceeding them. He listed out a slew of measures taken in India to encourage a circular carbon economy.
India has adopted low carbon and climate resilient development practices. India is not only meeting our Paris Agreement targets, but also exceeding them. India has taken concrete action in many areas. We have made LED light popular. This saves 38 million tons of carbon dioxide emission per year. Smoke-free kitchens have been provided to over 80 million households through our Ujjwala scheme. There are efforts to eliminate single-use plastics.
Prime Minister Modi also highlighted India's initiative, the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure or CDRI.
CDRI has started work on increasing resilience of critical infrastructure. Infra damage during natural disaster is a subject that has not got the attention it deserves. The poorer nations are especially impacted by this. Therefore, this coalition is important.
President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, also participated in the virtual G20 Leaders Summit. A statement from the White House read that Mr. Trump discussed with other world leaders the need to work together to restore strong economic growth and jobs as we overcome the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Trump reaffirmed the importance of the G20 working together for future economic growth and prosperity. The Israeli military on Sunday said that Palestinian militants have fired a rocket into Israel, drawing Israeli air strikes in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli police reported that there were no casualties on either side of the border, but a factory in the southern city of Ashkelon was damaged. The Israeli military said its aircraft struck in response against several military sites belonging to Hamas. Pakistani troops resorted to unprovoked and indiscriminate firing targeting Indian forward posts in civilian areas along the line of control or LOC in Nowshera sector of Rajouri district today. India's defence spokesperson stated that at about 11:15 hours, Pak troops started firing with small arms and shelling with mortars along the LOC in Nowshera sector. Indian army troops retaliated and gave a befitting reply to Pak firing. Elsewhere in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, India's Border Security Force BSF troopers discovered an underground tunnel on the international border at Regal area in Samba district on Sunday. AIR correspondent reports that the underground tunnel was discovered by a patrol party. It could have been used for infiltration from across the border. It is suspected that the 4 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists who were killed in an army operation on Thursday in Nagrota may have used this tunnel to sneak into this side of the border from Pakistan. The French Foreign Ministry has demanded Pakistan authorities to withdraw comments made by Pakistan's Federal Minister for Human Rights, Shireen Mazari. She had accused French President Emmanuel Macron of treating Muslims like the Nazis had treated the Jews in the Second World War. The comments were posted on Twitter by Ms. Mazari on Saturday. It has come amidst war of words between Pakistan and France over the publication of images of the Prophet Muhammad by a French magazine. The images have sparked anger and protests in Pakistan. This is All India Radio giving you the world news. Australia's top military official said on Sunday that the country's defence force must own a recent report on soldiers committing crimes in Afghanistan. He also pledged changes to ensure that atrocities do not happen again. The Afghanistan Inquiry report published on Thursday disclosed 39 unlawful killings by or involving ADF members and instances of cruelty during 2005-2016. Defence Force Chief General Angus Campbell told Australian public broadcaster ABC that he would ensure that the report was dealt with thoroughly. Secretary-General of the United Nations, Mr. Antonio Guterres, condemned the rocket attacks in Kabul on Saturday, which resulted in the death and injury of many civilians. In a statement, the Secretary-General underlined the urgency of ending the violence in Afghanistan. He expressed hope that the upcoming Afghanistan peace negotiations can swiftly achieve a de-escalation of the conflict and cessation of attacks in order to save lives. Global Terror Financing Watchdog FATF has said that G20 nations must start leading by example and act now to stop money laundering. The Financial Action Task Force President Marcus Blair said financial systems of many countries are exposed to money laundering, terrorist financing and proliferation financing. He said even though G20 publicly calls for the full implementation of FATF standards around the globe, not all G20 members have taken effective action to make a real difference. In an article titled Lead by Example, the FATF president said failing to take action means unorganized criminals will indulge in trafficking people, drugs, arms and wildlife. It will also result in corrupt stakeholders and terrorists operating with impunity. India's Minister for Power and New and Renewable Energy, R.K. Singh, said that India is going to replace the safeguard duty with a custom duty to protect the local manufacturers of solar equipments. He said some countries are dumping solar equipments at very low prices in the country to destroy local manufacturers. Talking to AIR News, Mr. Singh said India wants to expand its export base in the solar energy sector like wind energy, wherein the country is not only self-sufficient but also an exporter. He said India has the maximum growth and demand of renewable energy as the per capita energy consumption is very low in the country.
Insofar as wind is concerned, we are already not only self-sufficient, we are an exporter. We export wind energy product. In solar energy manufacturing projects, we have capacity here and we are exporting part of that as well. But we want that to expand and it's going to expand.
The second edition of the Trilateral Maritime Exercise (CITMEX) are underway in the Andaman Sea. The naval forces of India, Thailand and Singapore are participating in the exercise. The exercise being conducted as non-contact at sea-only exercise in view of COVID-19 pandemic highlights growing synergy, coordination and cooperation in the maritime domain between the three friendly navies and maritime neighbours. Now, the coronavirus updates from around the world. The French government has decided to exit the lockdown imposed to curb the coronavirus transmission under a strict three-tiered process. WHO chief has urged G20 leaders to ensure COVID-19 vaccines are allocated fairly as global public goods fully implement the international health regulations and help finance the ACT accelerator. Moving on to sports, in tennis, world number 3 Dominic Thiem will take on Daniil Medvedev in the title match at ATP Finals tonight. Thiem shocked Novak Djokovic in the semi-finals. In football, Atletico Madrid beat Barcelona 1-0 in the Spanish La Liga. And India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favourite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Japan. And with that, we end this bulletin. See you at same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.